Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick announcement. I'm streaming on Twitch really regularly now, from Monday through Friday, almost, maybe sometimes Friday, depending on what happens when I move, but it's going to be from 6 p.m. EST, and sometimes it's going to go past 8 p.m. You know, it's going to be great. Come out, hang out. It's a really nice chill vibe over there, and I'm really consistent, so you should come. Link will be in the description box below. Hey guys, it's Urko Josh, and this morning I found a white hair in my beard. It's been great making videos for you guys on this channel, but it's game over. It's time to pack up. I don't have much time left. But seriously, this is going to be maybe the second to last video that I'm going to do in this space. I'm probably going to have to record the next one earlier than next week, because next week I'm planning to move, and so by exactly a week from now, I'm going to be in my new space and I'm going to be working on that nice apartment tour that you guys wanted me to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and get straight into today's topic, which is something that I briefly talked about on one of my how to make money with your art videos that I did late last year and then early this year. But I wanted to really get into it a little bit more detail. I've been coaching and talking to getting one-on-one feedback and learning more about some of you guys who have decided to support me on my Patreon page, where you guys can just make a call with me for an hour and then we talk about your goals. And some of you are really focused on building your Instagram. Some of you are focused on getting your artwork better. Some of you are just focused on the business side of things. And I realized a lot of you still need to understand this concept of how to give value to people with your artwork. Like I said, as an artist, you are a business, you are an entrepreneur, and you need to very clearly have in your head how you're going to be giving value to people. It may not be consciously I'm giving value to people this way, but I feel like there are 6 things minimum that you have to be doing in order to bring value to people. And you can mix and match some of these things, but it's really hard to do just one of these things. And then even so, some of them I actually don't recommend that you do. So I want to just have this podcast here and just talk about all of it in as much detail as I can so that I can refer everyone here in the future. I'd love to actually hear if you think there's anything else outside of this list, because I've really racked my brain and I can't think of any other reason why someone would care about you or your art. But yeah, so watch the whole thing. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm really looking forward to that. And this time I definitely will have some links to my other locations where you can listen to this podcast, such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. All right, so getting into it, the first one is, so they're going to be ranked in order from the most difficult to achieve to the least difficult to achieve. So the first one is going to be your fame or your popularity or your style. So people value artists very often, and sometimes it's the most clear way that you can get people who don't even know, who aren't even really interested in art, to know you is by your fame. And so the most famous artists are the ones that have passed away. We all know that the masters of old, Michelangelo, Rembrandt, Picasso, Leonardo da Vinci, all those guys, they're the masters of old, and everyone loves and is aware of their artwork. The Mona Lisa, everybody knows that. But even in today's world, where people who are still alive, and I'm just going to talk about kind of this specific industry that I've gotten used to that's very popular online on YouTube and Instagram, but you have people who are like Sid Mead, right? Let's see, Sparth, and then you can look at people who are even closer to me, such as Art Germ. I've followed his work for a while. James Jean, somebody I'm also really interested in. Art Germ, Stanley Lau, he has worked for Marvel and DC Comics a lot. He's worked for Capcom. He's worked for all these really big names in the entertainment industry for so long, and he's so good that people buy his stuff just because they want something from Stanley Lau. So something I'll never forget is I remember him working on a comic or just a few panels for his own, I think it was called his Super Bell print or magazine series, and he would do these original prints within one live stream, or sketches within one live stream, and then what would happen is he would upload the images to his website, and once you purchase them, then he would send them to you in physical copy. And they were pretty expensive. They were like $300 each, but they sold out pretty quickly. And no matter, and those sketches weren't really that amazing. It's because, you know, he did them very quickly, but it's because he's Art Germ that they sold out so fast, you know. And so that's something that I want people to understand. Like, you should always be working on something like that. You should always be working on trying to build, if you're trying to be an artist in this kind of way, if you're trying to make a name for yourself, but you should always be working towards that. And it's not something that should be stressful. It's just like how you interact with people. If people ask you for help or advice, try to help them out. Just try to be a good person to people around you and be supportive and be positive, and always, you know, take some time to get a good, clear kind of view of yourself. Stay self-aware, discover who you are as an artist. Don't really worry too much about trying to be like everyone else out there. Allow yourself to be different and unique. Take pride in that and develop it and let it be known. So for example, with me, one thing that I've recently learned is when people ask me a question that I've heard asked a million times, I don't have to try to be the best answer. I need to give them the answer that they can't get from anyone else. And so that's what I've been doing. And it makes me super quick to respond to questions, because it's like, oh, I'm going to tell you my perspective on this. And so another thing is with my like art roasting and critique videos, I don't do them like how I see other people do them. I do them in the way that I think is going to benefit people. So a lot of people are like, oh, why are you not doing positive critiques? That's helpful. But for me, it was like, well, I know that people are aching for constructive criticism. It's really hard to get. And so also as a way to, you know, you got to get those clicks, you got to get people's attention. So I'm like, all right, no criticism. We're going to just focus on the critique, and then that's it. And that's just a few of the things I've done throughout these past, getting close to 3 years now, to try to build myself as an individual, Ergo Josh, so that later on in the future, that kind of fame aspect, you know, it always sounds weird to talk about yourself and then fame, but I definitely do see myself being able to get people's attention for that reason. And there's definitely evidence of that now. I can tell there's people who buy my first prints that may not love my artwork, but they've been seeing me through and through the past several months and years. And, you know, they're just going to be like, well, I have to get an artwork from Ergo Josh because he's helped me, or because I love his videos, or blah, 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 you know. Another thing is with style. Your unique style can be something that people are just extremely attracted to. So looking at James Jean, his style is very unique. It's very surreal, and some really, you know, high-end people just were like, just probably look at that work and like, I want that as a custom piece. I'll wait 6 to 8 months to get on his waiting list and, you know, have something custom made by him. And probably they don't care about the definitely several thousands of dollars he would probably charge for something custom if he's still doing that. So I feel like I've talked a lot on that piece. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next thing, which is the next hardest thing. And that is skill, or your quality of your work. So one thing I notice is this is the one where a lot of people kind of rely on to give value to people. So with fame, that is value, and it's something that's built up over a long period of time. The quality of your artwork and your skill is also valuable, because it's just something that's extremely pleasing to look at. It's just so wonderful, and people can't stop looking at it, right? But a lot of people that I've critiqued on their Instagram accounts, for example, they're not doing any of these other 6 things, and they're just putting out their artwork, which means that they're relying on the quality of their art to be the only thing that people get value from. And you can't do that unless your artwork is top tier. So one person I love to bring up is Guiez and Wolop. They are extremely talented artists, and I'm sure if you look at them on Instagram, I'll put links in the video description or the pinned comment. And if you look at their artwork, it's really amazing. They've got a really unique, clear style, but they don't necessarily engage with people that much. They're not like, hey, how was your day? Well, how are you going? How is it through quarantine with your artwork? You know, what was your first painting? They're not asking like fun questions to engage with their audience like Loish is on the other extreme, but they have tons of really intense engagement. You know, even Kupchinov Iliad, he responds to quite a lot of comments for every single one of his posts. But Guiez and Wolop, they don't really do that. Sometimes they'll just have an emoji as their caption, but they have 100,000 likes, you know? So Quality is something that can give your audience, can give people a lot of value, but you really have to, that's also something that builds up over time. You know, you can't just have your quality knocks the socks off of everyone you see when you're just starting out. It takes years to develop that kind of quality. I'm trying to strive for that quality. A lot of people ask me why I'm not coloring. It's because my drawing skills aren't at the place where I want them to be at, because I know within myself, like, what would, if I couldn't do anything and I had to pick one thing, what would I be happy with? And it would be drawing. And I would be so happy with that, that I wouldn't mind if I never colored anything in the future, because there's so much richness to drawing. And then if you add some values and shading in there, you can really tell a really cool story, paint a really cool picture, literally, without needing too much color. So I'm really trying to focus on that and hone in on it. And I want that to be captivating. I want it to capture people's attention. But it's something that takes time, and you just have to keep working on that. And if you combine super high quality with fame, which usually comes in a package when you see famous artists, then you get something that people love to look at. You get you, the artist, that they want something from, that they love to be a part of whatever you're doing. And then you're giving a lot of value to people. But those two things, you know, your skill level, your fame, and your style, it's really hard. And that, you know, that's why I always say to younger artists, don't focus on your style. That comes way later. That's not going to be what you as a beginner is going to need to focus on to build value. It takes time to do that. Your style is going to come through learning, trying a lot of things, and getting your fundamentals down. So the next thing is emotion, or what's a good way to say it? It's like something that captures their feelings and their hearts. They resonate with it on sometimes even a personal level. So the best way to describe this is to talk about kind of a movement, or maybe there is a sensitive social topic or an issue, or a disaster, like right now with the coronavirus pandemic. Something that can tug someone's heartstrings. Maybe it's a common disease like cancer. If you do an artwork based around something like this, you can give value to people by connecting with them, or helping them express their feelings or emotions, or drawing those feelings out. You know, we as people, we value our feelings and emotions very strongly. You know, that's something that everyone shares. No matter what country you're from, no matter what language you speak, we all have joy, we all experience sadness, we all experience pain. So if you paint something, you know, I mentioned this in the last video I did, Women's Day was in March. If you paint something that relates to women and their suffrage, either way back in the 1900s, or you talk about the issues that they still face today, and you do that with your artwork, one of my patrons was someone that was dealing with, their artwork was very focused on feminism, but it was specific to cultures in the Middle East. And so they had a very targeted niche, and that the artwork that they did around that got a lot of engagement. She didn't have the greatest skill. She was still new. She wasn't super famous, but that artwork had a ton of engagement because it was so clear what her message was. And a lot of people, you know, identified with that. She unfortunately had to deal with a lot of people coming after her too as well. But, you know, that's just one of the things that comes with this. When you're dealing with emotions, it can go high, and then you can also get very negative emotions as well. But that's not something that you should be afraid of when you're pursuing this. So it could even be something as simple as, you know, sharing an experience you had as a kid, that maybe it was your first kiss, or maybe it was something negative, like you were being bullied, and you do a piece that shows how you felt and how painful that was, and it captures that depressive mood, and maybe you suffer from anxiety, and you're showing that with your artwork, and you have a special ability to convey that so clearly because maybe you identify with it. Anyone else who shares that same emotion is going to have they're going to perceive so much value from your artwork. It doesn't matter if it's the greatest thing out there, because you're able to capture that emotion and pull it out of them. They're going to value it, and maybe they won't buy your piece, but maybe they'll leave a comment, a long comment. You know, some of my videos, boring talking head videos like this, I get amazing comments because I was able to connect with people, and they were able to relate and share their own stories, and that was really great. And you can do the same thing with your own artwork. Some artists I recommend that are doing this really well is Michelle Lamb, or Mew Tripled. Her comics are so relatable to such a so many different audiences, really. She's been doing this for a while. Another person is Pascal Shampoo, I think is pronounced. His artwork is he's mastered his ability to, he almost paints with emotion the way his artwork looks. It's just so expressive and deep. He actually did something related to the pandemic where he painted, some people working in the healthcare industry, and he was honoring them. And so anyone who has people that they know personally working in the industry, anyone who has people that they know who are suffering from the virus, they're going to really vibe with that. Their heartstrings are going to be pulled, and they're going to connect with it. So they're going to invest in it. They're going to comment, they're going to like, and he's going to, continue to build up that fame aspect of him, because people are going to respect him even more as an artist. So that's something that you should definitely be considering with your artwork. You don't just want to paint something that has no emotional connection. You want something that can, connect, like actually help people connect with your work. You don't want it to just be all in your head. But, some people can get away with that because their artwork, their skill is really high, or they're really famous, but it's something that if you feel like you can do it, you should definitely do whatever you can to take something personal, take something that you can actually identify with. So it's, it's legit. Don't just paint random things that you don't really care about, but paint something, if it's a topic, if it's an issue, if it's just a memory, if it's some emotion you have, share it with the world. And there's always going to be someone who relates with it. So the fourth thing is going to be fandoms, fan art, and trends. And so this is something that this is getting into the second half of the 6 things that I had. And so this is going to be where there are risks, but these things are very easy to do. So having an artwork that connects with people emotionally, having super high skill level, having a lot of fame behind your name and your artwork, they're really hard, but they can really drive a lot of value to people. But these next 3 things, they're a lot easier, but they come with some caveats. So I think fandoms, fan art, it has a special happy medium to it. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what I mean. But when I say fandoms and fan art, it simply means that you're doing work that's related to a community that's already built up around a specific IP. What does that stand for? Intellectual property. So like if you're doing artwork related to, Frozen, people are already fans of Frozen. If you're doing artwork related to Mickey Mouse, people are already very invested in that character. People are very invested in Star Wars. People are very invested in Animal Crossing right now. There's probably, I can say, millions of people who are playing that within the past few months. So people are very invested into all these kind of things like comics, movies. If you take one of those fandoms and you create artwork around that, people are they're going to perceive a lot of value in it. So you don't even have to do something that's emotional. You don't have to be the best artist out there. You don't even have to have a name built up for yourself. If you do something and it's related to, Superman, people are going to like it. They're like, oh, I like Superman. People are going to engage with it. You might get a few more followers if you keep it up and get more followers more rapidly than you usually would if you're posting artwork to Instagram, for example. Same thing goes with trends. So if one thing that I like to cash out on, and I like to say that phrase cash out, because it's like, as an artist, sometimes it's easy to feel kind of left alone and isolated out there, because, it feels like such a highbrow environment, where a lot of people don't value art, or a lot of people don't really understand it. They think it's just, some subjective thing that lazy people do. But sometimes you could kind of, if there's something trending as an artist, you can show your own value in it. And I've done that. I've done a few artworks of very popular, trendy individuals, or a meme, for example, which I plan to do a lot more of because it did extremely well. My highest liked post on Instagram was just a redraw of a meme. It was not good at all. It was just line art. There's no color, but it got so many likes, more than anything else. And so, that was a trend, and it was trendy. It was the meme of the woman yelling at the cat. It was perfect. Maybe I'll show it here. And it did super well. And, you can do the same thing with fan art. But there's kind of a risk to these things, because if you do them too much, then people will not really learn to identify you for who you are as an artist. And if you don't really enjoy what you're doing as the fan art, then you're definitely going to find yourself stuck, not loving what you do, but feeling like you can't do anything else because that's all people care about. And this is especially true when you stick with one fan art or one trend. That can get really bad. I've suffered that. So one trend I also worked on a lot was, the pretty Pinterest girls trend or the pretty Instagram girls trend, where there's certain images that are trending a lot on Instagram. I would just draw them. There were portraits, and then I would redraw them in my own style. When I deviated from that a little bit, my engagement tanked. And I got super frustrated and I was super confused for a long time until I realized it's just a matter of time. I just got to keep doing what I want to do. And then my audience will kind of, refresh and shuffle, and it will grow and they'll be more attracted to what I do now. And it's finally at a place now where I feel like I've, pushed out everyone who was only there for the Instagram girls, and there are a lot bigger percentage of people who are following me now are interested in whatever I'm doing. And that's especially thanks to you guys on YouTube who are following me on my Instagram page, which will be linked in the description box below. But yeah, you don't want to do all of one fandom. If you really love Five Nights at Freddy's, don't only do Five Nights at Freddy's fan art, because if you do, you're going to find yourself not liking it one day, and you're going to have 3,000 followers that just want to see Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. And when you stop, they're going to be like, all right, bye. And then Instagram's going to be like, oh, you're making crap stuff now. I'm going to put you all the way at the bottom of the list where no one scrolls to, and then you're going to be hidden for the rest of your life. So one thing I like to recommend is to just do 50% maximum. And if you're new, you should stick to 50%. So if you're trying to grow an audience, do 50% fan art trends, something that's going to be easy for people to connect to so that people can have a little bit more reason to buy into what you're doing or keep an eye on you. But if you're already, have an established community, you don't necessarily need to do too much fan art trends, but you can just limit it to 50% and make sure you don't keep them all in the same fandom. One person who I recommend to look at that's mastered this is Ross Draws. He's done a lot of fan art back in his day, but lately he's only doing his own stuff. And he's still killing it. He's still growing, hitting super high, milestones on YouTube and Instagram, and making tons of sales and working on his own book. He's got his merch, but he's drawn every single character out there that fits his style. So you could definitely look at him and take, fan art and fandoms to your advantage to help grow yourself and your presence out there. But, at the end of the day, make sure what you're doing is something that you actually care about, so that you don't get burnt out, and so that, you can actually connect with your audience. If you just do random stuff that's trendy, that you don't care about, there's going to be a lot of different ways for it to just fail. But, for me, I'm like everyone else likes watching memes or looking at why did I say watching? Like I'm a boomer or something. But yeah, if you just do stuff that you actually personally enjoy, then people are really going to enjoy that as well, and they'll sense that in you. And there's all kinds of little ways where it could fail if you don't, so you just want to make sure that's not something that you have to worry about. And so the last two things are going to be something that I didn't really talk about too much in detail in the previous video I made on this topic, but I am going to do it here. So the fifth thing is not safe for work art. And so we all heard the saying, sex sells. I hope I don't get demonetized for saying that. I should be fine. But that is something that is just always going to work. If you are drawing, girls, you're going to get more views than if you draw guys. That's just the bottom line. People like looking at girls, pictures of women, way more than guys. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter who you are. The stats don't lie, If you add a little bit of sex appeal to your content and your figures and whatever you're doing, you're going to get a lot more eyes on it. But, there's always a risk in today's day and age. So, for example, if you go too far with something, then people might report you a lot. And if that happens, then the platform that they're reporting you on is going to kind of quiet you and silence you by banning you or just terminating your account. If you go even further, you won't even need to get reported. Instagram will just find you themselves, for example, and they'll just close your account. Or let's say you show too many nipples. I don't know what it takes, but YouTube's own algorithm will just demonetize you then and there. And if you keep doing that, then you're just going to get pushed dragged through the mud with YouTube, and all kinds of crazy things are going to happen to you. It's a tough thing. I've heard of people losing their accounts and having to start over. I've heard of people being shadow banned by Instagram. One person example, he has it publicly out there, is John Zalistra. He's a great artist. I love his comic. Very suggestive, very spicy, very attractive looking women that he draws. But unfortunately, for some reason, honestly, I don't really understand why, but he's gotten reported a lot. And so even his own hashtag, that's such a terrible thing to happen. Your own hashtag for your own comic has been marked as risky by Instagram. So it's a tough game to play, and it can also alienate a big part of your audience if you go too far. But the people that do love it are going to show up, and they're going to show up in big numbers, and they're going to show up with their wallets. So it's something that you need to decide if you want to do. And there's websites out there that kind of cater for that kind of artwork as well. I won't mention them exactly in name, but I'm sure if you've been around the internet for any amount of time, you'll know what they are. But yeah, that's kind of what it is about not safe for work art. But the next thing is going to be commissions, surprisingly enough. So commissions are 6 and at the bottom of my list. And you're probably thinking, what? I do commissions. I spend so much time working on my commissions. Like, everyone does commissions. Why are you ranking them 6 on the list of like the most risky and the least value? But the reality is that when you do a commission, only one person cares about it. If you paint someone's mom, if you paint their girlfriend, if you paint a portrait of them, the only person that cares about it is that person. That's it. And a lot of times what I found out for myself and everyone else that I've talked to, when they do commissions, they don't really grow. They're too focused on trying to get it done. They're not really interested in it. It's not really what they want to be doing. And so they don't really grow with it. And so it's not really going to help you as an artist. And usually it's not going to help you with your brand unless somebody commissions something that's very unique and helps you, and just is something that you would paint anyways. So that can kind of be a thing when you're more famous with your artwork. Somebody will just commission you, like, let's say, for example, James Jean, he was commissioned basically by Prada to do some work. Of course, whatever he does for them is going to be in line with his own stuff, and everyone's going to love to see it. It's not going to be a sacrifice for him at all. But let's say like for me, the work I do on Instagram, let's say I just paint a portrait of someone. Well, people are going to be like, oh, okay, whatever. Unless it's extremely high skill and it looks amazing and people just can't stop but keep looking at it, no one cares. That's just the reality of it. Now, let's say if somebody commissioned me, like I see you're doing these sketches often. I want to commission you to do, 100 sketches of, these mermaids, and just keep them in this style that you do, and I would commission you for that. Then I'd probably say that that's a good thing to do. I'd probably take that because it would be enjoyable for me and it would fit right along with what I'm doing right now, and that would be great. So it's the ultimate way to give value to somebody because it's them, it's theirs, and they love it, and they're probably involved in the process the whole way, and no one else is really, it's just made for them. But the risk is, it's just them. So it's going to be really hard to build an audience from that. And so even though the value is, 100% for that one person, it's going to be very close to 0 for anyone else. So that's always a risk. And it's a reason why I usually recommend, if you're trying to build an audience, to minimize how much, commissions you're posting all the time, like commissions left and right. A lot of people just post their commissions, say that they're doing commissions, and they just keep going that way. And it's tough unless you're getting commissions that are related to what you want to do, and that thing that you do is just going to be whatever, like you don't really see yourself changing. So for example, if you love to do a lot of furry art and you get a lot of commissions, or like, I want myself as a furry, I want me and this person doing this as furries in this scene, then that could work. Like you could do commissions left and right and people are going to love that and your paintings are going to be great. Hopefully you're charging enough, because those kind of things are, a lot more difficult to do than just like copy this image of myself and, so I can give it, or this person so I can give it to them as a present. So yeah, that's my view on commissions. That's mostly why I personally don't do them, and I don't see myself doing them for a long time, at least. And unfortunately, I know a lot of people are going to be frustrated by this because they're in a position where they do commissions as a way to survive, but they want to grow their audience at the same time so that they can survive better by doing more commissions. But the thing is, like, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but if you're in a place where commissions are how you survive, but you're not growing as an artist and you have a very small audience, I would really suggest that you find a way to take care of the money issue. That's probably getting into what I'll do for my next podcast, but I'll just give a snippet of it here. When your basic needs aren't met, your art creativity process is going to tank. You will not grow and you will not make artwork nearly as quality as you can. So if you're starving and you're just trying to finish something, that work you're going to do is going to be crap compared to if you're full and well rested and not super stressed out about something in the background. So personally, like, you know, I've lived with my parents for the last 3 years. That sucks as somebody my age, 25 years old. That's, especially in America, not cool. But I did that because I had a specific goal in mind and I said, well, this is what I need to do, right? So if you're in that kind of situation, you might need to make that kind of tough decision to be like, okay, maybe I need to work at Starbucks or get a basic job like that so that I can really make this something that I can do in a healthy way and survive in the future. You know, that's actually something that if it wasn't for my parents, I probably would have had to have done that as well. I probably would have had to sacrifice my job working in the architecture industry because that took a lot of time. And I would have probably had to be like, all right, well, what I can do to give me more time is work a much less skilled job, get a very, very low quality living space, really small, and not be able to do YouTube, but I can at least have a ton of time to draw and build my skill up to where that can kind of take me forward. So that's another path that one can take. But hopefully that helps some of you out there get some clarity on how to pursue, you know, the rest of your life. Because when you're in those situations, it does take tougher, you know, it does take a lot more grit. It takes a lot more effort to push yourself into the world that you want to be in. But, you know, everyone starts, you know, somewhere. We all start at zero when we're born, but, you know, we all also receive different, you know, benefits and, you know, debuffs or negativity, like negative effects when you're going through life, you know, and we have to make the most with what we've got and pick what we want to do and just work super hard towards that, while, you know, keeping a healthy frame of mind, focusing on the basic things and then, you know, making as much progress as we can. So for example, this is getting more drawn out, but like my parents could definitely have not done what I've done, but because of what they've done to get themselves into a better living situation throughout their whole life, I'm able to literally stand on their shoulders and then just jump off. So depending on your experience, you just have to realize, well, this is where I'm at now, so I'm going to focus on moving upwards and doing the hard work that it takes to get there. So yeah, this is a pretty decently length podcast, hopefully. I'm probably gonna have to cut some stuff out, but thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited for my move. I can't wait to show you guys my new space and then hopefully my apartment tour in the future when I actually have it looking good, because I'm gonna be the most minimal person in that apartment when I move in. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, probably gonna put this in the beginning of the video as well, but follow me on Twitch. I stream on Twitch Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. EST. Probably not too much next week because I'll be moving. And then I'm thinking of doing it Fridays as well, depending on how things are after I move. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.